Parthiban Kanavu, English translation by Anand Kannan, narrated by Sujatha Anand. Book 3, Chapter 30. Late Night Events. After the boats left the island, Kundavi turned to Ponnan. "Boatman, where is your wife?" she asked. Ponnan replied that Valli was across the river in the hut. "Go get her here immediately. We have a lot to do. We have to somehow rescue your king and send him to Mamalapuram. We can't rest until he's safely on the ship on New Moon Day." Puzzled, Ponnan said, "My lady, I don't understand." "When your king was sick, he spoke in his delirium. I learnt all about who he is and what he is here for. I also heard that his ship will wait for him on the New Moon Day. We have to rescue him and safely get him to the ship before then." "My lady, I don't mean any offense. If I may ask a question, why do we need to go through all this trouble? Can't we just send word to your father?" "Ponna, you don't know how my father thinks. Marapan has understood him well. For my father, the rule of law and enforcing justice are very important. Your king must board the ship before my father comes to know. Luckily, my father is not home. He is away on some secret mission. This is the time to act." While Kundavi was speaking, Ponnan was tempted to tell her everything he knew, but restrained himself, remembering the promise he had made to the sage. He did not know what was exactly in the sage's mind, so did not want to endanger his mission by spilling the secrets. He held his tongue until Kundavi finished speaking and said, "My lady, nothing is more important to me than King Vikraman's welfare. I am happy to do as you command." "Very well. I am going to the palace. You should go get Valli there," said Kundavi. Ponnan got a boat as per Kundavi's orders. He started rowing. It was dark now. Ponnan's arms were busy rowing, but his mind was a whirlpool of emotions. His heart bled to think that his king, who should be rightfully on the throne to Urayur, would be sleeping in the city's prison that night. He wondered if he should incite the people of Urayur to revolt, then realized that it was impossible. The Choya people had turned quite submissive. They were happy to accept a foreigner's rule. The Pallava emperor's wish was their command, just as it was for Marapan. He was ashamed to think that he may not have been any better himself. Was he right to trust the sage and blindly follow his instructions? How could he really be sure that the sage was being truthful? Whatever be the case, he realized that Kundavi was genuinely devoted to the King Vikraman. Did she not get him back from the clutches of death? After deliberating thus, he decided that he had been right to trust her and follow her instructions. He reached ashore, walked to the hut, and was surprised to find that the door was latched from inside. He knocked. "Who is it?" asked Valli in a stern voice. She opened the door only after recognizing Ponnan's voice. Ponnan asked her why she had to lock the door. Her response alarmed him. Valli had heard some voices around dusk. She closed the door. She could hear the voices come closer. The first voice was terrifying. It said, "You wait here for Bhupati. I am going ahead to the temple." "My lord, you can rest in this cottage if you wish," said the second voice. "No, I can't wait. You should go wait for him and get him along," said the eerie voice that had spoken first. Valli had waited for a while, nudged the door open a bit, and peered outside. In the gloomy light of the dusk, she saw two men walking away from the hut. The first one was tall. Valli, who was usually brave, was terrified on seeing that he was one-armed. She made a connection to the one-armed man who had abducted Queen Arulmozhi. Next to him was a dwarf, whose height made the other man look even taller by contrast. The taller man went east by the road. The shorter man sat on a tree root. Valli went inside and bolted the door. Valli completed her story and looked around. She grabbed Ponnan's arm and pointed him to the roadside. The dwarf appeared to be staring hard in the darkness towards the hut. Ponnan thought for a while and said, Valli, come with me. You have some work to do. Where are you taking me? To Uriyur? No, Lady Kundavi asked me to get you to the Spring Palace. Is King Vikraman better? Has Lady Kundavi recognized him? Asked Valli eagerly. I will tell you everything on the way, said Ponnan. They went to the boat. Ponnan was deliberately noisy in untying the boat and rowing away from the shore. He also confirmed that the man on the shore was watching him leave. About 3 hours before midnight, Ponnan quietly returned to the southern shore. Instead of arriving at the pier, he rowed to a spot east of the pier. He noiselessly tied the boat and climbed ashore. He noted that the dwarf was seated under the same tree. He sat leaning on the wall of the hut and started watching the road with eager anticipation. In a while, his senses were roused to full alertness by approaching hoofbeats. The sound seemed to approach from the side of Uriyur. In the starlight, he was able to recognize the rider as Marappa Bhupati. The horse approached the dwarf, who was standing in the middle of the road now. End of chapter 30.